So if you're like me, your pre-workday ritual usually includes a lot of coffee and probably includes reading VISTA Today. VISTA Today is an amazing publication and has really served as a platform to keep the business community, the charitable community informed of what's happening. But it really goes beyond that. I've used it, and we've all used it as an extension of our ability to reach out to folks in our network, to prospects, to customers, to know what's happening with events, to know what's happening with members of our community. There's so much amazing things, there's so many amazing things that are happening in Chester County these days. VISTA Today has really served as that centerpiece, as that focal point, and has really been has created an opportunity for us to stay connected to what's happening, and we value that. You know, I've had the chance to get to know Ken over the last couple years, Ken Knickerbocker, and one of the things that I will say is that Ken has always made himself available. He has proved time and time again to be an influential person to help make connections, to help extend his publication to other charitable organizations that are looking for greater exposure, doing other amazing things for many of us in this room. And so it's one thing to start a business, and that is really tough, and that is very impressive. But with Ken's leadership and Ken's passion and his enthusiasm, it has gone a whole nother level. And when I think about VISTA Today, I think about, yes, being informed. I think about, yes, being a community. But I also think about VISTA Today being very much part of this fabric in Chester County, which is great, and his publication and his efforts make it even better. I am thrilled and honored to extend the award for Small Business of the Year to Ken Knickerbocker. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I was expecting Guy to come over and help me up on the stand. I think that's the hardest thing any of us have to do this morning, is get up on the podium. So thank you very much. This is really a labor of love. Last week, Ned Sherrill, who's the head of the Church Farm School, said that vocation is that intersection of the greatest need with the greatest passion, and this is my vocation. And I'm thrilled to be here. I'm humbled and honored to accept the award and to be put in the same category with previous winners like Broomball Wealth Management and Pegasus Technologies. I'm pleased, I'm very grateful to the Chester County Chamber of Business and Industry for selecting us. I'm very grateful this morning for those of you who have supported us either by opening up our emails, clicking on our stories, supporting us through our affiliate partner program. I'm especially grateful for my team, past, present, and future. I'm not the easiest person to work with, and they've endured, and we've remained friends, and that's the most rewarding part of the whole venture. But people ask all the time how we got started. And it really goes back to very early in my childhood. My father, like so many of you, my parents really were Depression era children, and they lived from paycheck to paycheck. They didn't have many of the luxuries that we enjoy today. But what they did teach us was that if you wanted a bigger life, you had to be curious, you had to ask questions, you had to challenge authority. Don't challenge their authority, but you had to challenge authorities, much like we all grew up with in the 60s. Dinner times always centered around difficult conversations of the issues of the time. In the late 60s and early 70s, there were a lot of things happening. And we were allowed to challenge and ask questions. They expected us to be informed. They expected us to know what was going on. And each Sunday when my father bought the New York Times, we would wait. Of course, he had to finish the section before we were allowed to read it, but we were allowed to read it. And then I turned into a paper boy for the Bulletin and delivered papers. always loved the news and somehow always stayed in touch with what was happening. And then along came the internet, I would get to work an hour and a half early, and I would read the stories, and over time I started to see more and more stories about what was happening in Chester County. And for the most part, they shed a positive light on the county, but the challenge was getting them out there, getting them told, letting people know what a remarkable place we had. And about 2007, I launched something just for Parksburg in Western Chester County that was Parksburg Today. And then in 2013, this guy, Bruce Mode, came along, the author and former editor of the Daily Local. Bruce, back there in the corner, and he linked me up with Gary Smith and Mary Beth DiVincenzo at the Chester County Economic Development Council. And he and Andy Hackadorian, who encouraged me along the way, are really the reason I stand here today, because without their encouragement and the bridge, I would have never met and been associated with the Chester County Economic Development Council. And as we sit here today, as important as the CCCBI was and is in our existence, without the CCEDC by my side, we wouldn't be there. Mary Beth DiVincenzo not only encouraged me, but also came up with our affiliate partner model. I'd like to take credit for that. We're the only journal I can tell in the whole country using that model, and it's a successful model. It's the reason we're in business today, and she deserves full credit for it. We struck an editorial balance where I had final say over what went on there, but they had the ability to call up and say, take that article down, and that's a right they've exercised exactly twice in the 3 times that we've been in business. And you know, I looked this morning, it's 8,016 posts on VISTA Today altogether in the 3 years we've been in business, and 20,000 subscribers, and well over 1 million page views. The remarkable thing, and during the 2016 presidential election, my barber told me, I was talking to him about the success of Chester County. He says, yeah, but it's a bubble. And I didn't know what he meant at the time. This was October 2016. And I didn't agree with him. But I've come to not only embrace that analysis, I think he's absolutely right in that we do have a bubble here. It's a wonderful bubble. When Bill McNabb was asked why Vanguard stayed here, he listed 5 specific reasons. He said, first of all, it was our housing stock. Somebody could live in Malvern or in horse country. They could have a beginner home in it, or a bigger home if they wanted it. The plethora of universities, the wide choices of school districts, the proximity to major metropolitan areas, not only Philadelphia, but Washington and New York. And then the multitude of outdoor and cultural, historical, shopping, entertainment, after hours and weekend options. It's a remarkable county. And it is a bubble. And our challenge as we sit in this room is not only enjoying this bubble and appreciating it and be grateful for how blessed we are, but asking ourselves in our day-to-day activities how we can expand this bubble. What can we do to take the qualities that we're known for, our generosity, our collaborative approach, our kindness, and our decency, and expand it, not only to our region, but to the state and to the national level. We're all tired of the stories that seem to barrage us on a day-to-day basis. It looks chaotic, and it looks like sometimes the world's falling apart. And the fact is, there's more good stuff happening than bad stuff, and there's more things that work than don't work. And that's really the message of VISTA today. So as you open up your email in the morning, and I'm glad we're a part of so many of your morning routines, I'll take your cup of coffee and just let us be there. Open up the email, click on a story. If we've done a good job, we get you to click on more than one story. But really what my entire team hopes to do is remind us all that in this crazy world, there is hope. There is optimism. And this too shall pass. Thank you very much.